We're going to record part 2, instruction for your final project, house plan. So last week, let's rehash what we did last week, and I will quickly draw it so I can continue. So the agenda last week was to lay out the sheet. We're not going to rehash this, but I will use red marker to draw what you should have now, okay? We should have a whole bunch of construction lines. The walls are 8-inch. I tried to slow down a bit because my sketches on our recordings are pretty fast and messy. Now I'm overdoing the walls a little bit too thick. They're not proportionally correct, but the point is you should have those 8-inch offset construction lines in order to create perfect walls. So another thing that we did last week, I will just put one big window here, and then we have door here, then we have a whole bunch of windows here, and then we have stairs. So again, summarizing where we should be today with the black marker is we went ahead last week over these construction lines. We've measured them, and we were measuring tiny little points, and we went along them to cover them up. So if you're still measuring corners, remember that that's wrong. If you have light construction lines that have perfect corners, you're no longer guessing, you have start and end of your dark lines. So you would take a pen and press really hard with your H-lead, and you would finish from start to the end from all of the construction lines, and you would get your final wall. So I'm just going to quickly go through them, so we somewhat are where we left off last week. So in here you would go and create your perfect corners, perfect walls. And a reminder that if you want, I have to go to my office anyway. I can bring us supplies. I'll bring my box, and you can use all of my stuff that you didn't buy, like the flex curves. We talked about it at the beginning. We have a post here. Oops, I made a mistake, did I? Okay, we'll skip one window. In my box, I probably have red crayon, brown crayon, any crayon. If you take your sheet at the end of the day today and highlight the walls in the back, we'll use blue for that. You can highlight them with your pencil on the back of the sheet. Now, on my board, I don't have a way of filling it out solid. You can use crayon, and you can go very hard, and the color will not be, we've done crayoning before. Crayoning is very difficult to do to get a really smooth surface. So that's why don't do it on the right side. Do it on the back. The walls will get this really nice, elegant punch, and you can be really not perfect because the vellum is only going to show a shaded effect anyway. And you can do this with a regular pencil, will be fine too. So that's just an extra that will make it more of a presentation drawing versus construction drawing. But we're going to continue today into the construction part. So to build this house, we have to build the interior. So we're going to cover stairs, we're going to cover windows, and we're going to cover hatches and dimensions. And then next week, we'll do the curves, okay? So maybe we'll break it into two, and I'll give you instruction because you probably want to continue. So maybe we'll just record it a couple times. So the next thing to do, let's talk about windows. In AutoCAD, you would create blocks, and you would make blocks, stretch them to have like 2, 3, 4 tops, different windows for the house like this. But in our project, we have to draw them by hand, so we have to be consistent. The standard window looks like this on this drawing. It has 2 construction lines, and it has 2x4 frame. Okay? So you would have to decide, and on most of the standard construction, our walls are 8 inches. If you draw a line halfway through, you'll be good. Because most windows will be 4 inches. And most windows will be installed flush to the outside because we have this little, we have the trim for the window frame comes with the trim for exterior siding. So if you draw it like this for starters, we're good. The next construction line would be kind of like 2x4s. We're going to simplify. The frame has all kinds of corrugated metal or plastic pieces. But we're going to just draw 2x4. So this part will be like a lumber 2x4. So then the medium weight would be the frame, because we are cutting through the frame and we would see it. You could draw it almost as dark as walls. We're cutting them. And then one dark line for the glass, and you're done. Now, this particular window, however, if you look at my drawing, don't copy my drawing, do what I'm doing here. This window is actually 9 feet, and it's built from three 3-foot windows. Okay, so they're snapped together. They're designed, standard windows, they're designed to snap together for the larger windows. So 3-footers, and then there's a whole bunch of 3-footers here. So again, you would use a light construction line, and you know what? You can eyeball that too. Time is precious. You don't have to measure half. You can probably see it. And then you would draw boxes like this and the line. Okay, so that's windows. The door is a slightly different story and a little bit more complicated. For the doors, we have a couple components. Let me draw. So let's have this recorded. We'll take a photograph of the whiteboard and post that as well. So the door is similar but slightly different, because notice that we have 2 side lights or one? I think 1 side light, right? Do we have side lights on both? Oh, I have a drawing right here. Side lights on both sides. So again, the door also, you can draw it the same way, 4 inches. But then we have a frame, and I think 12 inches or so is a side light. So you would have these construction lines, and the construction will be as follows. You have 2x4 frame for the side lights, 2x frame for the door, 2x4 frame for the door. So this looks like a glass that you're cutting through, but the door is slightly different. The door needs to open to the house, okay? We don't open doors to the outside. We always open exterior doors. The way the threshold and the way the whole thing is built, we open it to the inside. Imagine that you have a pile of snow on your porch. You'd have to plow it through. So the screen door opens to the outside, but residential door, we buy already doors installed into the frame. They would be opening to the inside. So this is slightly in a way, and I have an eraser here. So what we're going to do now, the trick, is to construct perfect 3-foot door. So standard door, 3 feet. You don't have these dimensions, we want to make notes. What you need to do now is to measure 3 feet from maybe this corner. So you want to make, the door needs to look like a door, so I would make like a 1-inch slab. But this length from here needs to be precisely 3 feet 0 inches. And then we need to draw an arc, which is precisely quarter of the circle. So in AutoCAD, you would make a block and you would draw either a 3-point arc or a circle and trim it. So what we don't want to see on the drawing is door that, so this is no. The no is door that is, does not have the perfect curve or too shallow of the curve. So those are not good looking doors. So what we need here is 90 degrees and perfect quarter, so 1/4 of an arc. So for this, the best thing to do is to construct the 3-foot door and then get my or your circle template and find the circle and place the circle so the center is here, and then just find the arc that fits perfectly. If you can't find an arc that fits perfectly, I'll show you a little trick. So now the arc is obviously very light, and the door we're cutting through, the door is that medium weight. So walls are, and title block, the heaviest. Now we're drawing those medium lines. So on this side of the board, because it fits the recording, I'll show you the trick. If you draw your 3-foot slab, but you can't get the arc to get 100% to this point, then use the arc that's just, let's say you got the arc right here. Well, draw it as long as it's quarter arc. If it hits the door slightly lower, that's okay. What we don't want is an arc that's not quarter of the circle. So that's the main thing about the doors, okay? 90 degrees perfect and quarter arc. So that takes care of the doors, and then whatever space you have left in the opening, divide it equally. The standard side lights will be in intervals of 2 inches, but you already have an opening, so just design it so it fits. So now we're going to have the side light, another side light, and we're going to have the door and the very light line for perfect 90% arc. Make sure you show these 2 lines because there is a threshold for this whole frame. We don't ever have exterior and interior meeting. We don't build our tile floor to the exterior deck, right? There's always a metal threshold, so the water and snow don't go in. It's tiny. You sometimes don't see it, but it's there. Okay, so now the next thing is the stairs. The stairs are dimensioned as 2'6", so they're 30 inches, 2'6", uniform width. So obviously we're going to measure 2'6" line, and notice that it lines up with the wall. So the window is exactly at the bottom of the stairs. I gotta switch pens. So we have a window at the bottom, and just so you understand, the stair starts with a square. So this is 30 inch and this is 30 inch. It starts with the square because stairs actually start here. So in the middle, we're going to place a dot, and we're going to say up, small up. And this is already first riser. Second riser is on 45-degree angle. And then where the straight run stair starts, we already made almost 8 and 8 inches, okay? 3 times 8. So this is a very compact, very well designed stair. Then we have a note that says 9 risers at 9 inches. Can't have risers 9 inches. I can't see. There is 9 risers, so we have 9 lines. 1, 2. But before you get too far, ladies and gentlemen, we need to cut. We talked last week about the cut line. We're going to draw 2 lines like this with a freehand squiggly line like this, and not show anything here. And that's cut line because we're going to show stairs going up here with an arrow. And then from the other side of the house, now it's different. I'm going to draw it slightly bigger. We're going down. Down here on 45 and again. So we're going to show part of the stairs going up and part of the stairs going down with 2 arrows on the main floor. On the upper floor, you will see only this stair because this stair will completely cover the stair going down, okay? Now, from here on is a 1-inch railing. So we're going to show the railing here and whatever happens on this side. So that's the stairs. The stairs are, again, medium. They're quite important. They're attached. They're part of the house, but we're not cutting through them. We're cutting through them here so they cannot be as dark as walls, okay? So that takes care of the stairs. So the last are the curves and dimensions. I gave you dimensions for the upper curve. The smaller curve here, the opening that we talked about, you would construct with construction lines like this. I gave you dimensions where the curve starts and ends. Okay, I'm going to delete this door, and I'm going to talk to you about the curves. And then we'll do landscaping next week because you want to draw the curves on the inside of the house. Okay, so to do the curves, first of all, curves need to hit the wall on 90-degree angle. So this is always straight line. Now, it doesn't have to be. We can build crazy angles, but it's not a good construction. It's difficult construction, and it's not a beautiful curve. So I always give you dimension where to start and end. You have those ones, and then you have a freedom of how to construct the curve. In AutoCAD, you would start with ortho on to keep this at 90, and then you would get the ortho off, and you would just put a couple points. And then you would make a P-line. And then you would edit it and change it to fit curve from contour lines and surveying, and split line to beautiful architectural curve. So what we're going to do is we're going to lay my flex curve and create this beautiful curve and basically copy it from the curve. So you would take the flex curve, place it right against the drawing where you picked some plus minus points, and you would create the curve and then draw it darker. So on the main floor, you would create these two walls. There is a straight line, and you would create a curve that represents that beautiful curve that was showing the opening to below. And we should really make a note that this is open to below. On the upstairs level, similarly, you will create the curve that I somewhat dimensioned for you. In advanced students, if you understand what I'm talking about now, the dimensions for the curve you could potentially skip if they are making your drawing too busy, because this is something that I actually stood there with the construction guys and I drew it on plywood before they cut it. I used all of my big drafting equipment and drew it on plywood because I didn't trust anybody. So you would kind of do the same thing. So, but you can add them. There's no problem adding them and actually forcing contractor to give you certain break points in the curve. You would construct the curve for the upstairs. Okay? An upstairs curve has wall. It's a wall, and it is going like this from the exterior wall out here to stairs, and the staircase starts here and goes down. Okay? So the same way you would start slightly horizontal, and then connect it with the most beautiful curve, which we will do using the flex curve, the blue plastic one that I showed you in the first week. That's the curves. The last are dimensions and hatching. Dimensions, ladies and gentlemen, we did talk about dimensioning techniques. For this project, you are allowed to use ticks versus dimensions. So we're going to do medium lines. Blue. Let's go with blue. We're going to do medium lines, and we need to talk about dimensions per se. You would dimension important features of the kitchen, walls, of the inside in a string. Only once you could show that this is 8 inches. 8 inches, and you could say typical. Then you would show ticks, and ticks are on 45. 45, medium weight line, and they're tiny. They're very, very small. You can see how they look here and copy them. We're going to do 2 guidelines. That is already covered. We know how to do dimensions beautifully. But what you don't know is that these dimensions need to be continuous strings. Maybe a couple continuous strings in each dimensions on the inside. On the outside, the convention for houses is you don't go with the dimension line right to this point. You leave a gap, small gap. You draw, we call them extension lines, and on the top or bottom, you have to give us the overall dimension, and these lines extend slightly too. So you're going to say 20 feet here, 0 inches. But there needs to be another string, and it is about 10 millimeters apart, about quarter inch. Okay? And that second dimension will be the openings. The openings in the wall. If you have jogs in the house, ladies and gentlemen, that's a 3rd string. And the order is actually openings, jogs, overall. We don't repeat the overall dimensions all the way around. We just show it once. So if you change dimension, you don't have to look for other places where that dimension also needs to be changed. And dimensions for construction are very important, because if you mess them up, there's going to be a problem at the construction site, and you may become a laughing stock if it's a serious overlooking issue on your part. So on real project, you would be in charge, and you would have to add up all the interior strings. That's why we are on one continuous string. You would add them up, add exterior 8, and make sure that they add up to 20 feet. And you see the difficulties you had. I think there was probably a spot or two where there was a discrepancy and you had a hard time drawing it. Well, the same way, guys at the construction site will have a problem building it. Okay, so exterior strings, interior strings in both directions. And then we have hatching. What hatching do we have? You're going to struggle a little bit with the kitchen, because the kitchen was actually built on 2 levels. So the kitchen, I'm going to use this side for extras. The kitchen, ladies and gentlemen, has a bar. So as you come through the door, we're drawing it this way, so I'm going to rotate it the same way as I have it here. So as you come to the house, there is a fridge on the left. That's straightforward. The counter is built from 12 by 12 tiles. It's a very inexpensive way to build a kitchen if you don't have money. Rather than buying granite, you buy cheap tile and you just tile them, right, over plywood. So basically it's straightforward. Fridge, then there is, under the fridge is oven. Under the counter is the under-counter oven. We have a double sink. Then we have a cooktop. And where the line goes from our laundry chute that did we talk about laundry chute last week, the triangular wall?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you want to add in that laundry chute a pipe, which is not showing there. Pipe we show like this. It's a freehand squiggly line, and basically, and we're cutting through it so you can show it relatively dark. So the kitchen counter goes on 45 here, and the interesting thing is that past this triangle, so this is the wall, past this triangle, the bar continues, and that's the part that's actually raised 6 inches high, because the bar is higher than a cooking area where we stand. We stand, our countertop is about this height. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's about this height. And then when we eat 6 inches lower on chairs or 6 inches higher on stools. So this was higher and it was bar. And it might be a little bit confusing, but in any scenario, you see 3 tiles, the whole counter is 36. But in one spot, just above the cooktop, there's like a double line. That's the step. So the bar actually steps up like this, and it goes around 2 tiles, and it comes back. You see that? So there is, I believe, 3, 1, 2, 3 tiles in this direction. That's the bar part. I'm going to leave it like this. That's the bar with the stools here. And then the lower part is also built from tile, and there's a cooktop, etc. So that's the only difficulty students have, because you kind of don't see it 3D. Opening in the closet. Opening in the closet that has a framed opening like this, we hatch it like this. That contractor knows is a ductwork space. That's the vertical shaft that goes upstairs and downstairs, okay? In the closet you have clothes that are basically between the 2 walls and the doors. There is a rod and freehand kind of clothes. You know, clothes are hanging in the closet kind of loosely like this. Very light. Very light. Furniture, I'll give you template, but you can basically draw rectangular shapes using your, if you have that template that has different symbols on it. And then there's couches. Those couches would be difficult to draw. I actually measured my real couches, and these would be very difficult to draw. So what I have is a template that you can use, or you can simplify. So you can look at this, and you can use my template, which will give you a rectangular space, but the template will be bigger because standard couches are much bigger. I actually had to sell couches and buy new couches, very small couches that would fit this house. So whenever the template is bigger, you would kind of trace this part and then leave it short, move it, and close. You know what I'm saying? The template will have an opening this big. You start on this side, move it, and finish to get the smaller couch. So now you can have fun with it or not. If time is of essence, just show 2 lines like this, 3 lines, on 45, and 2 lines like this, and that's a very good couch. Doesn't have to have the fancy rounding, okay? The chair will be exactly the same thing, just, right, like a Le Corbusier style chair. The thing in the corner here, there is a circle and stuff like this. You can draw it or not. What do you think this is? It's a house plant. Not an important thing for construction, but this is more of a presentation drawing for the client. You're designing house that the client needs to see and understand how it works. So I think that takes care of the main floor. Upper floor is, on the upper floor, ladies and gentlemen, where we have balcony, mine doesn't show anything. But what you should do is show 6-inch boards like we did on a deck. And I'll give you freedom which way you want to put those boards. The support structure will go from wall to the outside frame. But how you place the beautiful cedar boards or the recycled boards is up to you. So what can you do? You could have cedar boards going on 45 at 6 inches apart. You could have them, the only way that they would not run is probably structure was this way. So yeah, they could go anyway. The box is all the way around, so you could, I would probably put boards this way, 6 inches apart. 6 inches boards would be better, less drafting, and they're more standard than 4-inch, okay? Which we had on our previous drawing. So 6-inch boards. There are pipes on the balcony because the balcony was pipes, and then there's tiny little circles that was kind of like an ornamental detail on the elevation. So I'll erase this. I forgot to look for pictures. Promises. I don't keep my promises. So the porch, the roof continues kind of like this. You're not drawing elevations, but we have 3 steps going to the veranda, and then there is, so these posts go all the way up, and the roof here extends over the veranda, and we have supporting tubes that go to the roof. But then on the upper floor balcony, you see another smaller circle. Believe it or not, I had a loop made like this that was welded to the railing, and it was I don't remember what I used for railing. Pipes. There were pipes and wire mesh. So there were just pipes, so all of this was done from pipes, and they were all different colors, and it's really, really pretty. And behind it is the door to get you to the bedroom. And downstairs somewhere here is the door with the side light. So what you're looking at is 2 pipes that are supporting roof that extends away from the main house over deck and veranda. We will have to also talk about hatching and decks. Okay? Thank you.